Okay, so there's a lot happening in Mexico right now, and it's definitely got the world's attention. We're tracking three really big developments. First, you've got a high-level security alert from the U.S. Embassy. Second, there are some deeply concerning reports of travelers facing major safety issues. And on top of all that, a top cartel leader has been taken down, which could completely reshape the security landscape there. So, let's break down exactly what's going on.
All right, first things first. This official warning. The U.S. Embassy has put out a serious security alert for its citizens. And when they do that, it's a huge signal that the situation on the ground has become a lot more volatile and, frankly, way more unpredictable.
And look, this isn't some abstract warning on a piece of paper. It's having a direct and pretty chaotic impact on real people. We're seeing widespread reports of tourists and visitors just getting caught in the middle of all this, essentially stranded as transportation shuts down and hotels go on lockdown.
And finally, we have the event that might just be fueling all of this. A major blow has just been dealt to one of Mexico's most powerful and violent criminal organizations. This takedown is a massive development, and we're feeling its aftershocks right now.
So let's really dig into that official warning. On February 22, 2026, the U.S. Embassy issued what they're calling a Security Alert Update. Now, this wasn't just a routine reminder. Nope. This was a direct response to some very real, ongoing security operations targeting organized crime across the country.
What's really telling here is just how specific these warnings are. We're talking about active operations by Mexican authorities, which means you're going to see a lot more military and police on the streets. That leads to more roadblocks, more checkpoints, but, and this is the crucial part, it also leads to violent clashes, both between rival cartels and between the cartels and government forces.
And that brings us to the most direct piece of advice from the embassy. This quote is totally unambiguous. It's a crystal clear directive to just stay away from the flashpoints. So the key takeaway isn't to avoid travel altogether, but to really understand where the risks are highest and just steer clear.
And yeah, that's a really key distinction to make. This is a targeted, serious advisory that's all about urging extreme caution and situational awareness. It is not a blanket ban on travel to Mexico, but it is a very strong recommendation to stay informed and avoid those specific high-risk zones.
Okay, so let's move on and see how this alert is actually translating into real-world consequences. Because this isn't just a document, it's reflecting a chaotic reality that has unfortunately trapped a lot of travelers.
We're hearing these first-hand accounts from tourists describing some incredibly stressful situations. Hotels are literally locking their doors, not letting anyone in or out for safety. Transportation has been thrown into complete disarray. We're talking sudden cancellations of buses and flights. The airports are overwhelmed with massive lines, and people are frankly terrified to drive, especially on highways where cartels are known to be active.
So, for anyone who might be caught in this, here is some clear, actionable advice. First and foremost, contact your embassy or consulate. They are your lifeline for official info and assistance. After that, avoid traveling at night, stick to safe, populated areas, and just keep a constant eye on official news channels for any real-time updates.
Now, let's talk about the development that is likely a major catalyst for this entire situation. Mexican authorities have confirmed that they've killed a top leader from the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, during a targeted military and federal police operation.
To really understand the gravity of this, you need to know who the CJNG is. We're not talking about a small-time gang. They are one of the most powerful and notoriously violent criminal enterprises in the world. Infamous for their brutal turf wars with rivals like the Sinaloa cartel, and for their direct, almost military-style confrontations with security forces.
So, a high-ranking commander is gone. But why does this one takedown matter so much? Why is it potentially connected to that embassy alert and all the travel chaos we're seeing? Well, this is where you can see the chain reaction. Taking out a key leader creates a power vacuum, and that often leads to violent internal feuds as other people fight to take control. This infighting, plus any potential retaliation against the government, almost always causes a short-term but very intense spike in violence. And that violence is very likely what triggered the embassy's urgent security alert.
To really grasp what's happening, though, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. This crisis didn't just appear out of nowhere. It has been building for years.
For years, cartels have controlled key smuggling corridors. More recently, the CJNG has been expanding its territory with extreme aggression, which has led to more frequent and more violent clashes. All of this has put immense pressure on the Mexican government to act, and today we're seeing the result of that. A more forceful government crackdown, which in turn is triggering these intense, localized flare-ups of instability.
So the crucial point here is that this is far more than just criminal activity. It's a full-blown national security issue for Mexico. And as we're seeing with the travel warnings and the stranded tourists, it has immediate and very serious international ripple effects.
Okay, let's bring all this together into what you absolutely need to know, especially if you have any connection to the region. These are the essential safety takeaways from everything we've just covered.
First, your safest source of information is going to be those official embassy alerts, so follow them closely. Second, actively avoid any known conflict zones, especially at night. Third, if you're traveling, register with your embassy. It's a simple step that can be absolutely critical in an emergency. Also, have a backup plan for getting out if you need to. And finally, just remain calm, but always be vigilant.
And that leaves us with a pretty critical question for the future. You know, the takedown of a major cartel leader is a significant event for sure. But does it represent a real turning point in the fight against organized crime? Or is it simply a trigger that's going to unleash a new and maybe even more violent chapter of conflict? I guess that remains to be seen.